Welcome everybody, welcome to the Tomb of Illumination, where we talk about all the physics concerning our flat earth, actually, how the ancients described it. So this is ancient philosophy, ancient physics, metaphysics, ancient science. It's all here, not like the science, the hoo-ha you have today with the spinning ball theories. No, so we delve into all the ancient stuff. And today I'm going to talk about the Norse mythology and how they describe the recycling system of the earth. I've done previous videos, but I haven't broken down what's actually written in their mythology, so we'll get right into that. So, if you haven't seen my site before, this is basically the earth as they knew it and as we should know it today, but you're never taught. That's looking down on it as a whole, if we could, which we cannot. It's all a matter of consciousness, a conscious state. We're in a conscious realm where everything is actually from the mind. It's all imaginary. Nothing is actually physical. Only your five senses make us assume things are physical. So if we could look down on Earth and see all the magnetic field lines of the torus field, that's what it would look like, but there'd be a lot more of them. There's just multitudes of them all the way around. It's just one massive magnetic flux. But unlike a magnet, well, it does have this. The magnet does have this gap between north and a south pole, but we don't understand that. We never taught this gap. That's the dielectric between the two poles. Now, it's just the way the loop works on a magnet. On a magnet, you're getting this loop like this. It's this area in here. It's going down under it, up that way, back over, down under, and back up this way. Chap Nigel Cheese talks about this system and this system, but that's another matter. But he's right too, but it's just more expanding on what I've got here. So you need to understand the magnetic field to start with. You do not get that loop on a spinning ball earth. Spinning ball earth is nothing but a comedy act, a big BS story by the elite Freemasons to keep you away from you're connecting your conscious state with our realm and the true meaning to life. So now in our Earth system we have this poloidal field where the sun, the tropical gap. So a star has been illuminated and created the sun. So it's created the electrical system. So we don't yet have the electrical system in a magnet, do we? No, because you've got the right resonant frequency and all that sort of thing. It's quite deep too. But this is what it looks like looking down on it. The real sun's back in the centre of the Arctic, which is at the beginning of the Milky Way. At the other end of the Milky Way, which comes over to the tropical gap, is where we see an image of the sun. An image. Then the southern hemisphere is mirrored to the northern field. So everything you see on this side of the northern hemisphere will be reflected out on this right here. You see that bit? That'll be reflected here. That bit will be reflected here. As this turns, it sends its image around this way. And a mirror effect. So you put a slice through there, you end up with this model. The tropical gaps, the centre vortex, the place of inaccessibility, right in the middle here, we cannot get to. Above there is the tree of life, the vortex. In Norse mythology, Yggdrasil. I don't pronounce any of these words right, but there it is. Yggdrasil is the tree of life or the vortex. Midgard is the tropical gap. It's where man first appears in the tropical gap in the story of creation. Then he spreads out across the earth. Ragnarok is the alignment, the event, the Passover, the end times, the crucifixion, you name it. It's the divine event that man, it's the meaning to life. It's man's divine event. That's the divine event that stops you from reincarnating. Coming back to do it all over again in a different form, of course. But so this, we have to go through this to gain our eternal life, which means Your body will die, but your spirit, your soul, you've gained your soul. Your soul does not die. So you can come and go as you please, when you please, in whatever form you choose. So what it is. Sounds science fiction, but that's the reality of things. So I'm going to try and name all the, show you what all the names represent, as much as I can. They go really deep actually, but it's very difficult to follow all of them, but I'll give you a few of them. The falling in is the Gnenagap. Gnenagap. Look, gap. The falling down in here. This is now you have to understand these tropical zones, or this tropical zone all the way around here, is a blown up image of the dead centre in here. So you have to, this is where I talk about a conscious state. It doesn't exist, it's not there, but if it was there, just imagine it's the size of an apple, but it's blown up into our realm. So this is the non-existent realm we came from, creates our realm that we perceive as physical. So that centre becomes this centre. The centre point in there becomes this centre around here. And it's the two fields merging or diverging actually. They don't actually come into the zone. This is a dielectric. This is the place of inertia, which is basically there. This flux does not come in here. It's separate. The dielectric or the inertial plane comes from in here. The black hole, it's outside of the magnetic flux, you could say. The centre ring, the centre zone of a ring magnet, the same thing. So there's your gap. That gap also represents this gap, because this is a blown up image of what's actually going on in here. So in the story you've got to associate this with this gap and partly of this gap. There's curves in here, it actually curves in a bit here too. A toroidal field flows from out of the centre, comes up, down here, along the ground thou shalt go, above the fields, above the cattle, and this one comes above the beast, because the stronger field is in the northern hemisphere. So it comes up and goes down here, but as this is coming down, there's an upward force, there's always a counter force. What comes down, there's another one coming up. So these are classed as the females, it's the male. But in this story, I think they refer to this part being a male and female here as well. There's always a dual system. You got south, north, or negative, positive above Earth. You got this two systems here. You've got a system there, and then the created system, so the creator, and then the created. Anyway, let's move along. So I've got Innengard. If you read it, this is the book. Norse Mythology. Grab this one. The whole recycling system is all in here. I'll read some of that in a minute. But if you bear in mind the Innengard and the Attengard, there's an inner and an outer, and I'm putting this down as the inner as being your arc of horizon. So we perceive everything in our dome, our personal arc of horizon. Outside of that, spooky land. So everything goes haywire out there, and it does. If you can understand the whole system, which it's pretty hard. So you've got Innengard as inside your arc of horizon. So the Earth has one, so does man. So the sun is in the centre, so too is man. Man views his whole universe within this dome. That is him always 90 degrees to zenith. He's always standing here. He is it, so does Earth. You can take man as being the sun, because the sun's in the centre here, roughly. Man is always there. He moves, his arc moves with him. So this is Innengard in here, Ittengard out here. Everything spreads out. If you know anything about star trails, it goes, if you move away from the dead centre, like Polaris or Sigma Octantis, it starts warping in all sorts of directions. That's the crazy part. That's the Utengard. So Utengard, outside of your arc or boundary in metaphysical sense, and also a conscious belief in the physical sense, being like safety in their mythological story. Then you got the Asur, A-E-S-I-R, Asur. Gods at the black hole, horizon. What's at the horizon? That's your ecliptic plane. Would be the planets or wandering stars. Ecliptic plane is at the top of the vortex, which is the horizon of the black hole. It talks about 9 worlds. No one's ever talked about this before. 9 worlds. What are the 9 worlds? Moving into 9 worlds? Well, the 9 worlds are associated with the 9 signs of the zodiac that you have received during your gestation. That's the word I was looking for in the last video. Gestation, because your gestation period is 9 months. So you're going through 9 phases. That's 9 pieces of the zodiac sign. You're missing a cornerstone. That is the one that's going to help you reach Ragnarok, if you understand that. So this is what the 9 words are all about. So obviously the zodiac's moving all the time, right? So everybody's getting a different slice of the zodiac in their gestation period. And so that missing cornerstone is moving too, right? So the 9 worlds are all about the 9 signs that you are in. But not one is specific to you, because you've got a bit of all of them, but people will have a specific sign. It's your moon sign at conception, and then your sun sign at creation. But the 9 worlds is all to do with that 9 months of gestation. Everything's moving, but it's deep. So what have we got here? 9 worlds are the constellations you are passing through during gestation period. Your gestation period. Connected by the tree of life, Yggdrasil, that lay at the centre of all worlds. The centre of the zodiac is a black hole, determines everything. The world is built on the zodiac. Though it could not be seen or perceived. It's even written in there. We cannot see or perceive, but we can. Well, the common man can't perceive it either, unless he knows this whole model. This is all about metaphysics. All explained in Plato's unequal line. If you go read prior to that and after, it gets to explain, what can be conceived and what cannot be. You can just assume it works that way, and then you get the whole picture of the whole model. Yggdrasil that lay at the centre, could not be seen or perceived by mortals. Only the wise men can understand it. Its root reaches out to the other worlds. See, the centre of the zodiac reaching out to all the other parts of the zodiac. Right, you've got Asgard, A-S-G-A-R-D. I've got Jotunheim, which is like Bethlehem, Jotunheim, and Niflheim. Now that's the Milky Way. Jotunheim, southern hemisphere end, also sometimes thought of as Utengard. So it's outside. So this is what I'm putting it down to. The southern hemisphere is Jotunheim. Niflheim's probably more in the northern hemisphere, maybe. I haven't gone too far into this. I just scribbled these down last night. I wasn't even planning on doing a video. I have to do a video when there's no one in the house. And that happens very seldom now. Valhol. Val, break it down. Val, to choose or to choose. To chose or to choose, as in self-made, or in Latin health, strength. So this is to do with man's enlightenment, eternal life, It's self-made. It's within you. God is within you. It's self-created. You can't, no church or a priest or another religious person is going to help you get there, okay? It's a self-made thing. It mentions Troy, Tross, cluster, bunch, string. Where was I going with that one? See, this is also connected with the Iliad, you see. The Battle of Troy and what's the other one? Anyway, it's all to do with this. Iliad, it's all about the action in this tropical gap. The counter forces and all the movements. It's all in there. That's all I scribbled down there. Let's read a bit of the book here, okay? So, we've got the tree there. We have the subterranean waterways underneath, coming out from the roots of the tree. You go way out there, which represents the tropical zone. You've got the water running around beneath the tropics. And that's it. And look, it comes back over to the centre. So this is represented as the Milky Way, the recycling system of the hydrogen molecule. Check out my earlier videos. But I'll read some. Yggdrasil, it's a tree of life, provided the structure of the universe. It's basically the vortex in the centre, and also connected the 9 worlds, enabling some to move between them. Odlin moved between them. Structure of the universe, and also connected the 9 worlds, enabling some to move between them. Not sure there. Then Odlin did so by riding his horse Splepner along the trunk. That's the trunk. That's the loop back from the. That's the Milky Way that loops from the centre over to there. And survived even Ragnarok. So Splendor along the trunk, because the Milky Way has to do with this alignment. It's divine stuff. I haven't gone too deep into that. I was keeping that back. So he even survived Ragnarok, and that's the whole story of being crucified and all that sort of stuff. But that's enlightenment, being reborn, killing off your dumb side, illuminating your real self. The last 2 humans were sheltered by Yggdrasil from the destruction of the world, and emerged afterwards to repopulate the new one. End of the constellation. So it's a male and a female. So this is rebirth again. And so when it happens at the end of times, at the end of the constellation, a male and a female will be enlightened. That goes quite deep too. By the root reaching into Asgard was Urd's well. Urd's well, that's the, we've got a well at the Arctic Centre called the Buford Gyre, okay? And that's what water sucks down through there and gets dispersed out the subterranean channels right out to the tropical gap region. Urd's well, sometimes called the well of word or the well of destiny. Because you've got to think at the same time, we're all of water, hydrogen, we're 84% hydrogen. So when you think of the recycling water of the earth, you've got to think of the recycling of man. All our energy is always recycled. This is what reincarnation is. And you're basically going through the system here, but you take a slightly different route if you've been illuminated, if you go through your Ragnarok. You're not reincarnated like the average person. So you can imagine you're going through the system just like water is, okay? Your energy. Well of destiny. Urd's well was a source of great power and knowledge. Yeah, well the water, pure fresh water is associated with this, from which Odin gained the runes. The runes, Akasha records from the ash tree, yeah. So when you're illuminated, you gain all this information. It also nourished the tree Yggdrasil. So it's the fresh water that passes through it. It's getting recycled back down through it. It's renewing. It's the whole recycling system of the earth. That's what this picture's all about. It also nourished the tree Yggdrasil and was in turn replenished by dewdrops falling from the tree. That's the dewdrops that fall from the Arctic, above the Arctic, into the Beaufort Gyle. That's why we've got fresh water spinning around there. That's what goes through the subterranean sinkhole. By this well the gods would meet, and it was also used by the three Norns. Didn't get into the three Norns. The three Norns were three mystical women, which you'd call electrons or wandering stars. There's only one male to speak of, and that's the sun. He's the electrical. The rest are all electrons. This is one proton, the rest are electrons moving around it. I'm about to do a little video. That's what you'll see, this little bit down here. I'll explain that in the next video. And I'll link you to the video that describes the universe perfectly. But there's a catch. That'll be the next video. Right, the Norns were the three mystical women in many ways similar to the Greek fates. However, although like the fates, they were connected with the destiny of every living thing. Yeah. So, it's all about the planets' alignments. The moon is the mother. She's the mother of creation. The male, the sun, sustains life. Their predictions were not immutable. There you go. The Norns inscribed the destiny of each creature upon the trunk of Yggdrasil. But mortals did have some ability to alter their fate. It's all predestined, but you can take it. You've given choices. This is free will, okay? So you can choose to be a dickhead and never reach your Ragnarok, or you can choose to go in search of the truth. Seek and you shall find, and you will gain it. So this is did not have ability to alter their fate. But mortals did have some ability to alter their fate. The carvings could be rewritten depending on the actions of the subject. Now this is a biggie. Shooting stars, what do you call it? When you get a pile of them. This is beyond the average guy, but they come down into the womb, into the maidens, fair maidens. They're the Nephilim, the actual Nephilim. You've heard all the bullshit stories. They come in to the virgin, they call it the virgin woman. They come in before their husbands and plant the seeds in the wombs of the baby fetuses, eggs, into the eggs. It's all been predetermined in a female fetus before it's even born. Was it the eggs? Fetus, the female fetus. Yeah, the female fetus that's being developed in a woman she gets all her eggs are downloaded. They're all predetermined type thing. Who's going to make it, who's not, sort of thing. After that, what do you call the shooting stars? Meteorites, aren't they? Meteor showers. Meteor showers. Okay. The ability to control one's fate was connected with the cycle of water from the well of Erd. There's the well in the bottom here. It's all water. Well of Erd, which reflected the past to the tree Yggdrasil and then back to the well. However, it's a recycling system. However, the initial carving of the norms defined the range of possibilities, and even the most powerful being could not change his fate to have an outcome beyond that range. Now this one has something to do with my previous video, being outside of your range. At conception, you're created in that part of the world. You go out of range, more than 1,000 miles, you will never reach your meaning to life, Ragnarok, spiritual enlightenment. So it's about 1,000 miles. You know, I've just recently read this, but 1,000 miles came to me years ago when I was reading the Nagamati library. Just about read the whole thing. Because I knew when you have your spiritual enlightenment, you have to go back the following spring, be in that area, that zone. And this book sort of brought about the whole thing about staying in your zone if you were to gain your second rebirth, your second birth. Not second rebirth, second birth. That is your rebirth. What do we got here? However, the initial carving of the norms defines the range of possibilities, even the most powerful bit of the Thus, with a Greek mythology, where in Greek mythology a being's whole destiny was rigidly defined by the fates, in Norse mythology the norms essentially dealt a hand of cards and let the subject decide how to play them. Okay? The second route ran into Jotunheim, where the Ginnungagap had previously been. Nearby lay the Mimir's well. So they could be talking. We've got the well below here in the Arctic is the Buford Gaia. So when they talk about the well, you've obviously got another well back here. That's the subterranean well. There's water running all the way around here, subterranean. The hydrogen molecule comes up through the earth, flows up through the low pressure zone of the tropical gap, and that's how it ends up coming back out, back over to here. It was previously been. The second route ran into Jotunheim, where the Ginnungagap had previously been. Nearby lay the Mimir's well, which contained great wisdom and intellect. It was here that Odin received his knowledge. Although, see, this enlightenment comes through water as well, so that's part of the system. Beautiful, purified water, filtered water. You drink shit water, you'll never get there. And it's also connected with the salts you're missing it from the cornerstone. Odin received his knowledge which would permit him to drink until he placed one of his eyes in the well as an offering. See, this enlightenment's all about opening your third eye. I used to go online and tell you all about the third eye, but last time I went on there, like scrubbed it. They're just completely trying to hide all the stuff. If you go deep enough, you'll probably find it all, but explained all, everything about it. But when you open your third eye, you lose something from these eyes. Bit tricky to explain that one. Mimir was a god of the Asur tribe, renowned for his great wisdom. These wise ones are like the original Greeks was the wise one, or the Atlanteans, they were the wise ones. They were different names for them. This was gained by drinking from his well, using a horn named Gigilla-horn. A horn of the same name was used by Heimdall to signal the approach of the Jotnar and the beginning of Ragnarok. Beginning of Ragnarok. Well, this is in the Jesus story, they're all running around saying, "Hey, a king will be born," because they're giving